Activated, your window into how we can change the way in which we aspire for persons with disabilities, how we change our expectations from seeing inability to expecting ability. Activated takes us on a journey of taking lessons from persons with disabilities in how we must do things differently to unleash the contributions persons with disabilities can and must make to building a disability-inclusive Mzansi. Hello and welcome to Activated with me, your host, Taryn Tomlinson. Changing the narrative for persons with disabilities requires inclusive ecosystems where society takes responsibility for the removal of environmental and attitudinal barriers. Similarly, families of persons with severe disabilities require inclusive ecosystems within the family that embrace and support them. South Africa does not have a social welfare policy that provides for personal assistance services, which often forces potential breadwinners to become caregivers and continues to perpetuate the cycles of disability and poverty. Today, we look at how creating disability-inclusive ecosystems in families and in our communities can be an activator, not only for persons living with disabilities, but for society as a whole. Let's get activated. In today's show, we visit Vic and Emma McKinney. They share with us their story and the importance of a caregiver who enables Emma to focus on her responsibility as partner, wife, mother, and career woman, and Vic to focus on being a partner, husband, father, lecturer, and painter. We travel to Mossel Bay to meet up with Jacques Mostert, change agent in building a disability-inclusive Mossel Bay. Our guest for this week is Chaeli and Zelda Mycroft from the Chaeli campaign story. GOGeorge is 'n geskeduleerde openbare busdiens in George wat betroubare, bekostigbare, veilige en gerieflike eerste klas openbare vervoerdiens lewe. Die openbare vervoersetsel is ontwerp om gebruikersvriendelik en toeganklik te wees vir alle passasiers, insluitend diegene met spesiale behoeftes. Ons het 'n draai gaan maak in George. George is located in the Western Cape province of South Africa. The town is a popular holiday and conference center destination and the administrative and commercial hub of the Garden Route. The town is situated roughly halfway between Cape Town and Port Elizabeth on the Garden Route. It's situated on a 10-kilometer plateau between the Outeniqua Mountains to the north and the Indian Ocean to the south.
Well, it was back in 2004 already when the Western Cape Department of Transport and Public Works identified a urban corridor in the George municipal area. What we really wanted to do was look at ways that we could integrate communities, provide socio-economic upliftment for those communities. And when we started to investigate ways in which we could do this, it became very apparent that we had to actually look at the broader public transport situation across the city of George. And that led to over 10 years of planning and design, where we eventually formalized the minibus taxi industry and actually implemented an integrated public transport network with the bus service by the name of GOGeorge. After lots of planning, lots of hard work, it ended up moving from a single corridor to a public transport system crisscrossing the entire city.
Wanneer die bus ingekom het en ek is aan die rolstoel, is vir my baie gemaklik en die gerie was ook daar, hoe jy travel en daar's altyd dissipline in GOGeorge bus. So ek vertrou GOGeorge bus en die passasiers wat saam met my travel elke oggend en dis iets goed man GOGeorge se ry.
Now the problem was the curb height that was required was the bus should be offload a passenger on a curb 300 millimeters high, which no minibus could manage. But we noticed that the Citroen minibuses, which were also Peugeot and Dodge and Fiat, were front-wheel drive, and that meant they could be lowered. So I contacted the consultants, and they said, "Well, could you get this bus to lower down so that it would be so that the floor would be 300 millimeters off the ground?" So we always accept a challenge, and Citroen were quite happy to supply money so we could see if we could convert the bus to air suspension so it could be lowered. And that's exactly what we did. This first bus was shown to a conference in Tshwane and it was shown to a disabled conference, and really that is life-changing, because you see all the disabled people, and it's amazing. It's amazing how they survive. And in that conference, we realized there was a huge need for universal transport.
Vandat ek vandag een wat hulle dit inbring, toe was ek van die passasiers wat op die toetsloopie gegaan het. En vir my was dit baie gerieflik. Bietjie bangerig aan die begin, maar toe ek nog eers aan die bed kom, toe geniet ek dit.
The George Mobility Strategy concept was not only about transforming public transport services, but also addressing the social structure of local communities through the design and provision of dignified urban spaces. Don't go anywhere. Chaeli Mycroft glo vas dat daar niks is wat aan haar pad kan staan as sy wil iets doen nie eers 'n berg nie. As die eerste vrou in 'n rolstoel om die toppunt van Mount Kilimanjaro te bereik, het sy voorwaar dit bewys. The Chaeli campaign is a social justice foundation changing society's views on the capabilities and the role of children with disability in South Africa and around the world. And it aims to change, in a significant way, the life of one child with a disability at a time. The Chaeli campaign story starts with a friendship that mobilized communities to support and build disability-inclusive ecosystems. Hello and welcome, Chaeli and Zelda. It's so exciting to finally have you here with us.
Thanks for having us.
Now, Chaeli, you are a true inspiration to me, because before climbing Kilimanjaro, I was stalking you and kind of seeing all the things that you were doing and how you did it. And I'd ask myself on the mountain, what would Chaeli do?
There's a lot going on when you climb a mountain in a wheelchair.
But you've not only summited Kilimanjaro, you've also completed the Comrades Marathon. You also study. I mean, there's so much that you do. And the beauty of your story is that it really starts with sisterhood and with friendship. How did the Chaeli campaign start?
I've always had the Terry sisters around us always, and we would, in the school holidays, play, we would make movies and we would do random things. And the one holiday I got the opportunity to...
Well, the wheel fell off your
very true.
Transport wheelchair. That's where it started.
The wheels fell off.
Literally, the wheels came off.
We came up with a strategy.
Well, the OT at the wheelchair place said, Chaeli, are you a brownie? And you said yes. And she said, why don't you sell cookies to raise 20,000 Rand for your wheelchair?
So that planted the seed. And I spoke to my sister Erin and Tan and Justine and Chelsea, and we were like, we can do this. It's fun.
What I love is that the organisation started through social entrepreneurship by 5 girls between the ages of 6 and 12.
Yeah.
Wow.
Could you tell us a bit more about the programs that you run?
The programs that we run, I think, are based around, we always speak about it paying forward the blessing that Chaeli is in our lives, and that needs to happen as each child with a disability with whom we work, we see as a catalyst for change in their family and in their community. But it's important not only to work exclusively with children with disabilities. Most of the change has to happen with the non-disabled support group.
Chaeli, what was actually your approach to building inclusive ecosystems?
Fundamentally, I think it's oversharing, but I think it's very much about inviting people into lived experiences.
Yeah.
How do we make space for disability and disabled joy and all of these kinds of ideas that are very foreign to people, that how can you be happy about being disabled?
Yeah.
And I can't see myself as a non-disabled person.
Yeah.
And people need to move with us to the place of understanding that my disability is inherently a part of my identity. And if we can do that, I think there'll be a lot less challenges.
Yeah.
And a lot fewer barriers.
And you do get people to move along with you, because I mean, this campaign really has become a movement in mobilizing many different communities. So Chaeli, before ending off, I mean, you've said so much, and it's been so great to just sit here and listen to you finally. But if you had the power to do 3 things, what would you change for persons with disabilities?
I have a list.
The top 3. Let's go with the top 3.
I think if we're looking at South Africa, I think one of the biggest things that is a barrier is transport and getting around accessibly. The transport system is not ideal in any way to support disabled inclusion, and we need more people to advocate for it. Education is really important, like within the system of education, but also more generally, like how do we educate people about disability in a respectful way? And then I think it's about honesty and being open about disability and the ones that we live with, because I feel like there's so much that's not spoken about when you're disabled, and it can be a very isolating experience. And I've realized that when I share and when I invite people into my life, more epic things happen. And often I'm thinking that they're thinking something that they're not thinking. Because we need to combat all of the internalized ableism and all of the messages that we receive from the world about where we fit. And most of those messages are negative. And so if we can start communicating more about the everyday normal things about being disabled, I think there would be a lot less of a stigma.
I think what I'm getting as well is not to live in your own head, but to really vocalize what it is. Thank you so much to both of you for coming down. Thank you so much, Chaeli, for taking the time, and to you, Zelda. It's been an absolute pleasure. And now it's time to meet Vic and Emma McKinney. Vic is the father of 2 young, energetic boys, a part-time lecturer and researcher, and a holder of a PhD. He is also a motorized wheelchair user, a C4 quadriplegic paralyzed from the shoulders down at the age of 19 due to a car accident. His wife, Emma, is hearing impaired and also holds a PhD and is a lecturer and researcher. She was born with a hearing impairment and is also experienced teacher of children who are deaf before becoming an inclusive education and disability studies lecturer and researcher.
We met at the University of Cape Town at a meeting. UCT is a great pickup spot. Meet lots of people. Em was working in the disability unit, and that kind of started from there. We've got wonderful personal care assistants, which makes a big difference. And they've been with us a long time. They've been with me a long time. So it's important they're separate and they take care of my needs. I think we're quite very aware. If I need Em in an emergency, fantastic. But otherwise, she's my wife, she's not my carer.
Yeah. And just for us, that's what, I've got other friends who take over that role, but for us, that's just, we spoke about it in detail when we got engaged. This is just how our family operates. And also, I mean, Vic is an incredibly involved dad as well. So, I mean, Vic was telling stories to our children before they were born, but fully involved. So parent meetings, football field, visits, he's a fully involved dad. And I think it's just normalizing disability.
I think it's like any relationship, we just support each other so much. I think we've created a good system where we can we can be independent. I don't think of it as being normal or as being different. I think this is our life. I think what really happens, where it's massively challenging, is that if something happens to one of my guys, if they're sick, then I'm sick, because my life slows down completely. I come back to like normal things. I mean, Jamie was feeding me when he was 2.5.
Yeah.
And so I want to feed
toast
that.
in bed.
So it just, I've got pictures of him next to me and he's nappy, just feeding me my toast. And it's something he wanted to do. And they've developed the patience and they've got a high tolerance for what I need. But if you create, just like Field of Dreams, if you build it, they will come. So if you create accessibility, you give opportunities to people to, once you're accommodating for the most vulnerable populations in society, you're accommodating for everyone. And that's the whole idea of universal design.
Get to know us and just come ask us questions rather than making those assumptions.
As gesin probeer hulle positiewe lewensuitkyk behou. Egter, COVID-19 het hulle en baie van ons gedwing om ons lewensgehalte en toekoms uit 'n ander oogpunt te beskou. Die middag voor die toesluit het hulle 'n fotograaf gehuur om gesinsfoto's in 'n plaaslike park te neem. Volgens Emma het hulle baie geglimlag en relatief lekker gekuier. Maar hulle het egter 'n onderliggende angs ervaar. Is dit dalk hulle laaste foto saam? Na die kort onderbreking reis ons na Mosselbaai en kuier sommer lekker saam met Jacques Mostert, 'n man wat wil sorg dat Mosselbaai mense met gestremdhede insluit. Welcome back. Cape Town is one of the most beautiful cities in the world, bordering a floral region recognized by UNESCO and set between Table Mountain and the Atlantic Ocean. Cape Town creates a sense of wonder in all who visit. It is a place that travelers can enjoy in all seasons, but offers much more than a favorable climate and natural beauty. The city's most popular attractions, the cable car to Table Mountain, the tour of Robben Island, and the historic V&A waterfront are all wheelchair accessible. My city bus in Cape Town is designed to ensure that all special needs passengers can use the service. Special needs passengers include the disabled, the elderly, young children, pregnant women, passengers traveling alone at night, and passengers with luggage, including suitcases, surfboards, prams, and bicycles. My city's universal access facilities include tactile paving to help the visually impaired locate stations and platforms, induction loops at ticket kiosks for the hearing impaired, and CCTV cameras, which are monitored by a control center on buses and at stations. Accessible tourism is not just about ensuring that destinations are accessible, but also that access is granted in a way that upholds the human dignity of a person with a disability. As an explorer of the city, I've taken all types of transport accessible to me. And though inclusive transportation systems make it easier to get around, access to those very transportation systems still remain a challenge. And therefore, those systems are not being utilized to the fullest potential by persons with disabilities. Sakeleier en entrepreneur Jacques Mostert, wat 'n been verloor het tydens 'n motorfietsongeluk, het eerstehands ervaar hoeveel meer daar gedoen kan word om die infrastruktuur en fasiliteite van Mosselbaai op te gradeer, om verbruikersvriendeliker vir mense met gestremdhede te wees. Kom ons ontmoet hom.
Okay, kort na my motorfietsongeluk waar ek my been verloor het ek besef dat die gestremdes eintlik agtergeblewenes is in terme van toegang en tot sekere persele, besigheidspersele en ook besienswaardighede en asook alledaagse areas waar gestremdheid jou strem eintlik om toegang te kry. Ek het 'n voorlegging gedoen by ons plaaslike munisipaliteit ten opsigte van toeganklikheid vir gestremdes en dit benoem as disability accessibility. na gelang van die toegang tot persele en ons het besluit om 'n graderingsstelsel daar te stel, sodoende besighede te gradeer in terme van toegang tot die perseel, wat ons sou begin by nommer 1 tot 'n nommer 5 gradering. Nommer 1 sou wees eenvoudig net 'n toegang tot die perseel, waar nommer 5 sou strek tot iemand wat opgelei is binne die besigheid of restaurant of gastehuis en so meer, om sodanige persone te kan hanteer indien hulle sou val of seer kry of en so meer. Ek was geensins bewus voorheen van hoe toeganklik besighede en so meer sou wees vir gestremdes totdat ek self in die posisie beland het nie. En dit is duidelik dat die gemeenskap met samewerking gee in terme van soos hierdie graderingsstelsel om sodoende daar deel te wees van opgradering, van toeganklikheid en dan ook binne persele wat alles behels rondom gestremdes.
Gemeenskappe soos Mosselbaai en George is uitstekende voorbeelde van wat gedoen kan word as munisipaliteite en sakeondernemings saamwerk om inklusiewe gemeenskappe te bou. Ons sluit vandag se program af met Musa Motha, 'n inspirerende man wat sy linkerbeen 12 jaar gelede as gevolg van kanker verloor het. Hy ondersoek alles en breek sosiale veroordele as voltydse danse af. Geniet julle dag verder. Tot volgende week. Selfde tyd, selfde plek. Slegs hier op SABC2 You Belong. Totsiens.